Welcome learners. In this section, we're going to continue as the second part and the final part for our consumer and producer problem. We are going to dive deep and take understanding of consumers into our Flutter widget. In fact, you are going to see a way much more optimized code than we have written in the previous modules, wherein in this all stateless widgets will be used and still you will be seeing the screen to refresh. What goes along the state management is the core topic which I'm going to discuss in this session. So let's get started. Let's dive into the session wherein over here we were able to add the task into our notifier. However, once the task is added, we should be also going back to this particular screen and seeing the task live into the list view. What I'm going to do is do one round of hot reload and then bam, I get this entire error. Well, what is the reason of this error? Look at line number 1. It says could not find the correct provider. Well, what's exactly that? So guys, what I'm going to do is at the root of the widget, which is my main function, I'm going to put over here change notifier provider. Build context, and over here I'm going to mention the task notifier. Next, I'll put the child as display task screen. Now let's try to run our app. Well, this time it's not giving any error, and what I'll try and do, hit the plus icon over here, put buying a shirt, click on add task. Over here, well, I do get an error. That's because it says without passing listen false. What's exactly that? Do you see over here I'm trying to add a task into the list. What I'm going to do is just say listen as false. Now that's basically what I said. I have this diagram wherein this is going to be producer only. Hence, this is not going to listen to any of the changes that happen onto my list. Hence, because of that reason, I'll keep the listen as false. Repeat. Because of that reason, I'll keep this listen as false. Let me try to run the app once again and check if now do I land up into yet another error or whether we are able to add the task. I'm going to click on the plus symbol, put over here buying a shirt and click on add task. This time I don't see an error and I'll manually press back, and do you see found pending task buying a shirt. Let's click on the plus icon again, put going for groceries, then manually press the back arrow and see the list to be updating. If you remember the module introduction video wherein I told you that everything in my entire to-do app is going to be stateless widget, still you will be seeing the list item to get updated because now I have introduced to you the importance of state management. So look over here. What do you recall about stateful widget. Does that stateful widget build our entire build function from the very top? Right? Don't you think composing the entire screen from the topmost to bottommost pixel is a very CPU intensive job? That's exactly we have reduced with the help of consumer. This time only this part of the widget, the body, this is changing, guys. Hence you will be noticing that this part of the widget tree is unaffected, and hence you have the entire producer giving the data, entire consumer listening to the changes to the data, and then everything happening with the help of a stateless widget. That's kind of optimal. Now, if you're wondering what's happening inside this list view, well, do you remember the two getter functions, display task list and display list? My bad, display pending task count. They let the list view builder know what exactly is the count of the items that are there in the pending things. Hence, when you add a new item, you will notice that this particular thing triggers, and in fact you are able to see the list item in the consumer. If you want to see it live, what I'll try and do over here, when I'm trying to add the task, once this part finishes, I'm going to put navigator.pop and then put a semicolon. Well, a stack operation, correct? If push adds a new screen, then pop is going to remove the topmost screen. Let's try running our app and checking if this small part works or not. So I'm going to click on the plus icon. Over here, I'll see going for a movie. And then just notice, when I click on add task, it adds to the list, goes back, refreshes my list view. I'm going to click on the plus icon again. Buying a new shirt. Again, the list view refreshes. Well, this is going to be absolutely bliss. That's because we have now a producer and now a consumer. Producer giving the data, consumer taking the data. But do you remember, I promised talking about notify listeners? Let me comment this out and run my app. I'm going to say plus prepare for Flutter training, and I'll say add task. No, the list does not refresh. Let's try once again. Buying medicines, and then I'm going to click on add task once again to see the list to be empty. What does this thing signify? Notify listeners informs the consumers that there is a new data. If you don't do notify listeners, then probably the consumer is never going to get the trigger, and hence it never updates. Hence, what you're going to see is moment I did notify listeners, you got 2 items, and you can repeat it like buying a new mouse, and you'll see the list to get updated. Now, this entire part is reactive stream, guys, wherein this, or in fact these two variables to be specific, are observables, that is the teacher. Display task screen, consumer is the student who is consuming the data which teacher is giving. Hence, that's how you can try and say that the entire implementation that we are trying to do is a reactive stream. Hopefully, the entire UI was not appealing, but you understood the thing with consumer and producer. Now, in the next session, let me introduce to the entire UI part wherein you can put the edit as well as delete icons onto your widget, and then once you tap on them, you will be able to get callbacks that will help you edit a particular task or in fact delete the task once you have completed. In order to learn, stay tuned and keep learning with Hoping Minds.